Morning, everyone. How are we doing today? So this is our third and final live stream of the morning. And what I wanted to talk about on this particular episode is something that I was introduced to when I was an accountant. And that was what was called the kitchen sink quarter. So let me kind of set this up for you because I think this is going to be important for us to internalize and not really overreact, if you know what I mean. So when I got out of college, I was actually an accountant, a general ledger accountant for a computer disk drive manufacturer, back when disk drives were frankly bigger and heavier than the phones we all carry now. And I remember one quarter, kind of early in my career, we weren't shipping our next generation super duper computer disk drive, right? It was delayed for some reason. And at the time, it was Western Digital, Seagate, and Quantum disk drives were kind of the gorillas in the space. And who I worked for is irrelevant, but one of those. And what happened was, people weren't buying our disk drives, right? The consumers, right, the buyers, they were waiting for this next gen super duper disk drive. So we had a bad quarter, right? Revenue was light. There were all expectations that the next quarters would be great because the disk drive would be shipping, blah, blah, blah. But we had an air gap in revenue, right? Revenue fell off a cliff. And it was kind of like what we saw here with this health scare that, we had kind of, I think it was like 6 or 7 weeks of normal orders, and then it just fell off. And I remember sitting with the CFO, and I was low person on the totem pole. There was probably 50 or 60 people in the accounting and finance organization, and we had an all hands meeting. And I remember the CFO saying these words explicitly. And he said, "Everybody, we need to make this our kitchen sink quarter." I had no idea what that meant, right? No idea what it meant. But when we got back to our stations, our managers, all of that, what became very clear is we were, as a technology company, we were carrying stuff on our balance sheet that we were slowly expensing, right? Depreciation. There were some things that we were making legal judgment calls on, and we were keeping on our balance sheet because we didn't want to flush the expenses through our income statement. But what happened, because we knew we were going to have a bad revenue quarter, is we wanted to get ahead of this. We wanted to make this quarter the worst ever because it was going to be bad. We might as well make it unquestionably bad, and then we can blame all these one-time charges. Oh, we had a one-time charge because we wrote off the R&D behind this, that, or other thing. We wrote off that inventory that is now we call it bad inventory that'll never be used. We wrote off the use of an office building or a manufacturing plant that we decided not to renew or not to build. Right? There were hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in judgments that we could peel off a little at a time and flush through the income statement. Flushing it through the income statement is how you impact earnings per share. And by changing your assumptions, we could take all of that remaining depreciation or value or whatever you want to call it, and we could flush it through the income statement. So we took hundreds of millions of dollars that was just bad, right? Investments that we didn't want, and we flushed it through the income statement in one quarter. So clearly it's been 30 or 40 years since then, but we took our earnings per share, which would have probably been like negative 70 cents, and it became like $17, some just stupid number. And then the whole conversation around the earnings call was, why'd you do that? One-time charges. Oh, we wanted to clean it up. It's just executive talk, right? We made the strategic decision to write off that building because that was not used and blah 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 blah. The quarter didn't become why was revenue light. It became why was earnings per shares markedly different. But here's the beauty. So that one earnings call, which became about the expenses, I'm sure wasn't fun, but they controlled the narrative towards expenses. And oh, by the way, the next 6 or 7 quarters, earnings per share was better because historically we were writing off, I don't know, 1/20th or 1/30th or whatever it was every quarter, and we had to manage to that. Now we took all of that, which was probably 20 cents a quarter, and it was already done. It was already flushed in the previous quarter. So our earnings per share looked better and better and better. And for whatever reason, nobody ever went back and looked at that one quarter where we just took all this junk and garbage from our balance sheet, flushed it through the income statement one time, and thus made our earnings for the next 6 to 8 quarters better. It was easy to see when you're in the financial statements, but as an outside observer, you kind of get lost and you forget. So this is why I think Q2, again, calendar Q2, whenever that is for you as a company, it could be Q3, Q4 if you're not calendar sort of organized. But this is the quarter. I think we are going to have record numbers of companies do their kitchen sink quarter. And they're going to do it on purpose. They're going to try to distract us, and they're also going to set it up so future quarters are better. And frankly, I think this is the right idea. If I was in the financial industry right now, I would make this our kitchen sink quarter. Everybody is going to give everybody a pass. You might as well clean up your balance sheet this one time so that future quarters can be better and we can get on to decent earnings per share growth in 2021. So it's just something we need to know, right? If you're in the stock market, you are going to see earnings per share losses that we haven't seen potentially ever. Again, in my example, it went from like negative 70 cents a share to like $17. It was just unfathomable. It was crazy. I think we're going to see that. And I think companies should. I think companies should have their kitchen sink quarter. Everybody expects Q2 to be bad. So you know what? Gosh darn it, make it really, really, really bad. So that's what a kitchen sink quarter, that's what I think's ahead of us. I think it is a wise business decision to clean up your balance sheet so that your income statement looks better Q3, Q4, Q1, Q2, and so on and so forth. So in the end, don't be surprised if you see these large earnings per share drops. I think it's just going to be everybody doing the kitchen sink quarter. So I just wanted to share that with you. It kind of feels like we're going that way. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself. Enjoy Saturday.